Love this for us. Okay, so welcome back to Travel Times. This is Lindsey, and this is
DeAndre.
right. And we are excited to have you guys here. This is episode 2. This is week 2, technically, when you guys are watching this. I can't believe we already filmed our first episode.
I know, that is so crazy.
Like, this is insane. So, first of all, how do you feel about doing the first episode?
I feel pretty confident. Like, I'm just excited to continue on and seeing how this. I love it. What about you?
I think it was great. I think it was really like it was nerve-wracking the first time, and then we just did it and it flowed together and it just was well. I think it shows, as you guys will see too, like we banter all the time and we just talk so much mess, but at the same time, like having that structure and having us talk about one thing at a time is helpful too. So
Right.
That was a really great introduction too for us to talk about who we are and kind of how we met and all of that for them to see, which you guys will like. But if you haven't already, give this video a like, comment down below, and subscribe to this channel of Beyond the Beauty of Lindsey. I know last time I said, you're fine. I know last time I said beautiful people, beautiful minds. That was not it. It was not it. That is another page I have. All of the information will be linked in the description box down below. Our Instagram will be down below as well. Baby, we need our glasses, okay?
I know.
Talk about my glasses the last episode. Let's talk about yours.
Yeah, mine are cute. I mean, yours are cute too.
Always cute. And not only that, so we're gonna be talking about specifically for this topic because now y'all kind of know us. We're gonna be talking about gratefulness and what that looks like. And D is going to be kind of leading the topic because this is something that he's feeling in the moment as well as I, but we both have deeper ties to it. Again, unraveled ties. And we're going to kind of get a little deep today. Do you think?
Yeah, I would definitely say so, because this is definitely something that I've learned over time. And I always thought I was grateful, but I guess I misconstrued what the meaning of gratefulness was.
Okay, explain that to me, because too, I kind of feel the same way, but in a different context. So what is your context?
For the longest time, like being grateful.
Right.
So before, I've always said being grateful was like, I wouldn't really say what it was, but like this is my action. If somebody were to do something nice for me, regardless of how they treated me, I would continue showing gratefulness, and allow them to disrespect me, and
100%.
It took a while, and I was always angry and I was always wanting more and stuff like that. Like I've always been like, before I was a very, very materialistic person, but as I have gone throughout the years, stuff like that, I've realized what gratefulness means and taking it more with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? Because now I have a deeper meaning of what it means in general.
Yeah. So that's the one thing I think. So to kind of go off of what you said, you kind of like alley-ooped it, which is great in your way. So gratefulness too, like for me, I used to, here's you guys will hear a lot of the like similarities between us, and you're gonna hear things that like may not make sense to you but make sense to us. Also D's drinking a little bit of juice for those, because you can.
A little grape juice.
It's a little grape juice, it's fine. But so for me, in context of gratefulness, like I'm the same. I think when we're younger, we don't understand what weight words can have, right? So like communication, we don't know what that means when we're younger. Right. Even our early 20s, I think we thought we knew and we still didn't know. And then like gratefulness, like we didn't really know what weight that held. It was almost like a simple, like, I'm grateful for you, but like, are you really?
Right.
Are you really?
Or like, I feel like
for this object, are you really grateful for him? Because you broke it, now I gotta buy you a new one.
Right. Or if you want more, you're seen not as being grateful because, oh, you want more, you should be grateful for what you have. And it's always like restricted. It's restricted to what I really thought gratefulness was, to be honest. So
yeah. So let's talk about when you texted me the other day, because D and I text each other even just the most random things at random times. So you texted me the other day at work and you're like, I'm just so grateful. And I was like, I love this text because you were thinking about it. Like there's some thought behind it, but also you're like, I gotta let you know how I feel. And I was like, D, because I think that's when it clicked for you of like, this has more weight, but you're owning it in a different way.
Correct.
So do you want to tell the people like why that was like a light bulb for you?
Yeah, because like, I mean, the past couple
of years, it made my soul happy.
The past couple of years have been kind of rough for me to really see gratefulness in a lot of things because I've been going through turmoil and so much grief.
Yep.
I'm now in a point in my life where I am making a turn and doing things that I actually enjoy that are good for me and my well-being.
You are.
And even though that it might be tough going through those or making that change or whatever, I just found gratefulness in it. I found peace in it. You know, I found something that I was doing just like truly for my soul. And like, I don't know how to explain it, but like, it's a feeling that you just like overcomes your body. Like no matter what you are going through, when you are more grateful than anything in the world, like you're going to be okay. You're going to be at peace. Like
it's a combined feeling of contentment, and then it's really the emotion behind it or the feeling behind it. It's really just being content with and understanding of where you're at, because when you can become grateful for something, right, a thing, you understand, like a phone, like our parents used to pay for our phones, right, for the most part, to some degree.
right.
And then when we realized they could have any control over that thing, you also weren't paying for it, so you would drop it, you would break it. There was no great when you would break it or whatever. Our parents would be like, "You're grateful. What are you?"
Right.
And I'm like, no, I'm really grateful. But then we look at it now and we're like, we weren't grateful. We disrespected that object that our parents worked so hard to get us.
Right.
And then now when we look at gratefulness in terms of the scale of our lives, like we have jobs, we work very hard on our self-healing and unraveling our own BS behind the scenes that no one really knows too. Even in the moment, it's like, for us to get, and even for you to get to that space, because you guys, D never would, I love you, never would sit there and just out loudly, even in the last fight, like you would, but there was no meaning to it. It's more like you felt like you had to say it than it was like I'm owning it. And so for you to say, I'm grateful for life, or even I'm grateful for today, I was like, finally, we're here. We're here.
Right. Because like life was like always so fast for me. Like, for instance, I buy an object. I'm grateful that I was able to buy the object, but I'm not grateful because I have the money to or nothing like that. I'm grateful now that I have the object. You know what I
Now
mean?
you
So
take
like,
care of it.
yeah, and there was no meaning behind it. But now, so like I know that I'm working to get to this gratefulness, and it allows me to be present. You know, whenever you're grateful, it allows you to be present in the moment. And that is like the best feeling ever, because a lot of people are either on autopilot or people are living in the past because of their trauma and so forth. So
I'm so proud of look at you, D.
That like literally was like a moment that I've literally felt I don't know, I just felt good. Like I almost feel like it was like a high without any drugs or alcohol or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like it was good. It was a good feeling.
It's so, I love that, because too, like I think we get so wrapped up in thinking about, we had talked about this even together, like we get so wrapped up in the future but gratefulness, I think that's the one thing too, like we have talked about, we're so focused, and we have kids, like we're so focused on looking at the future, right? We have to plan everything out for them. And in reality, it's like, no, it needs to be for the present. Like if we don't live for now, we've had like we mentioned in the previous episode, which is wild. We don't have the time anymore. We don't. We only have today.
If anything, we learned that
the hard way, like within the last 5 years.
Correct.
Like that perspective for us, I think, like you said, living in the present and understanding that you should be grateful for what you have now, or even what you don't have, but what you're chasing to work hard to have.
Right.
Be grateful for that process, because that's kind of like where we both are right now. We're chasing our dreams while also simultaneously reminding ourselves to live in the present. I think if anything, that's one thing I've been telling you in the last couple months, like as your cousin, off air and in general, just be like, hey, remember where we are.
Right. And what we're doing this for. You know what I mean? Like
the biggest, it's not about the kids, it's not about our family. No, like you, like DeAndre, do you know what you're doing?
Right. And like, you know, I think like we live in a time and era where like people want gratification like tomorrow, you know? So like if you start doing something today, you want gratification that you're doing it, you know? So like that allows us to keep the autopilot going on. Like autopilot could be good at some points, but some points you have to step back and just be like, I'm doing this. I am proud of myself, or whatever your affirmations are throughout the day. Like you need to say those to yourself so that you can live in this moment and enjoy it.
With that. So in the lieu of like keeping with our title of Unraveled Ties, you know, what is something that that led to, if you want to talk about it, that led to you understanding that gratefulness? Like, even if it's something so little as like something with Fam Bam, or something just like even with you and I, if you want to talk about it, you and I are fine exposing our own relationship in life, but what is that one thing that got you there?
Honestly, like losing a lot, you know, like I have gone through a lot throughout my life. Like obviously, like I've been divorced, I have a kid,
Yep.
I've lost, you know, I gave all my stuff to my ex-wife, you know, not to my business, nothing like that. But like, you know, I just gave that stuff away because I realized that materialistic things weren't who I was. I knew that I was ready to start a new life and all this and so forth. And honestly, like at the moment that I've had more, but I was willing to have less, led me to gratefulness. You know, like I mean, like
Damn.
it allowed me to know me from the inside out. Like, I don't know. I think that
well, because you used to be so, like you said it before, you used to be so materialistic. And like
I love me some money and I love cars.
This man calls me
furniture.
sometimes and he's like, you'll never guess where I just left. And I'm like, where? And he's like, I went to so and so. And I'm like, what'd you buy? And he's like, I bought this.
Let me tell you guys a story right now. Like when I was literally like 18, somehow I got approved for a $5,000 credit card. I spent the shit out that credit card, and I remember having to get like
with that credit card.
I had to get 2 jobs like in order to pay it off. Like it was crazy. Like I was just like, yeah, never again. Did it like 1 more time, but still, like it was a learning lesson. You know, I realized like, is this what I really want to work for? You know what I mean? Like. Buying all these things that are going to change over time because I'm trying to keep up with the next person, the next Jones, you know, and it just wasn't it. Like,
no, because it only filled your emotions temporarily, and then you're like,
correct.
This, and why did I spend X amount of dollars to get this for just that high and that dopamine rush? Like, no.
on an object that's going to be put away here in like 3 seconds.
I get that aspect, but being grateful too, there's other aspects in that. I think even for me, like gratefulness, it's so weird when you think of gratefulness because so many people, like you said, might attribute that to loss. Yes, but like you said, I really liked you saying I gave all these things away, but then it allowed me to really look inward and be like, I don't need that.
Right.
It's great to have it, and it's great to say that you did that, and that doesn't mean you won't have the same things again. You might even have better.
Right.
But
and it's better. It's better just to be
those emotions. But that's the thing. Like if we're taking it outside of the materialistic thing, like even for me, I've had some times too where I went and bought a bunch of shiz, and I got home and I was like, what the hell did I just do? Not because like it was a moment, because you know we might have that serotonin and dopamine high in that moment of getting what we want, but then I had to sit there and be like, and yes, my bills are always paid. If I'm going to spend money, all that stuff is first. Let's be clear. We're responsible over here. We're not reckless. We're reckless sometimes, but we have our home is taken care of. Don't come right. Second of all, I had to realize too, like once I had that like moment of like, did I need all of these things? Probably not. Was it what I wanted? Yes. And sometimes too, having gratefulness is you can sit there and say, I'm grateful for being able to get that. Now, let me tell you a real story about being grateful. Last year, and you kind of saw me kind of go through this too. We kind of were talking a little bit more, but we were talking, it was in and out, but I broke my foot. That will put you in some grateful moments real quick, man.
Yeah.
Real quick. Because when I broke my foot, because I was a three-time athlete in general. And when I say that, that means 3 times I work out for my mental health. I work out to help others because that gets them around. And also I'm a circuit trainer. So I work out at an athletic level. So that way I get all the things that I need to get out personally.
Right.
It works for me. The moment that happened, I literally had to stop myself because I was so frustrated for the moment because I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I had projects and I had this workout and these training sessions set up, but it allowed me to sit there, and it took me maybe 10 minutes. I felt everything I felt the moment I stood up. I knew I broke my foot. Realistically, it's my toe mainly, but that pain is undescribable. But then I sat there and said, for me to be angry is nothing. Well, that's wasted energy. I can be angry for a moment because I know this alters my plans. Yeah. I'm allowed that. But then I had
you have to be, not to cut you off, but you have to be like mindful of stuff because like you can't, like you said, you can't live in that angry moment for too long. You know what I mean? Like that's what
you have to acknowledge it. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm angry. Yeah. But at the same time, like you got to be gratefulness. I'm still here. I'm still have a leg.
That's what heal. I said.
You know what I mean? Like
I looked at every variable because that was the thing. Like I was mad, and the people who were around when that happened, because we had commitments that same day. They were like, do you want to cancel? I was like, I'm not canceling for anything. I said, I just need 20 minutes. I need some water, and it's on my YouTube channel too. You guys can watch it on this channel. But I'm like, I just need water. I just need a minute to myself to breathe through this because this is painful. Like, you can't deny that. And this is those type of injuries too. You can't do anything with but deal with it.
Right.
It heals on its own. Like, all I had to do was get a scooter to ride around in. And then that was a fun time. But and then just sit in it, and too, like the people who were around, they felt really guilty and they felt really bad. And but what they were inspired by, because it took a good, like I said, 10-20 minutes, really just soak in, okay, this just happened. There's nothing I can do about it. I can take an ibuprofen and I can just get over it and calm down. My anxiety was super high too. I knew I had to take a minute. And then I said, okay, like you just said, literally, I looked at the situation. I said, I could have broke my entire leg.
Right.
But I broke my foot. And also, this is making my ass sit down, because I was going and going and going and going. This was right around when, yes, COVID had settled down, and it still is kind of obviously a thing, but it settled down enough that opportunities started opening back up for me, which I was grateful for. But that had to be rearranged. It didn't mean in the moment I felt like it was done, but I had to be grateful for the fact that those opportunities are still there. I'm just gonna have to do it differently. And not only that, I had to sit there, like you said, and be grateful. Like, it could have been worse.
Right.
It could have been way worse. I could have needed surgery too. I could have needed everything, but I got so lucky in the fact that my attitude ultimately affected the outcome.
Right.
Imagine if I had just gotten up from that injury and I was like, and threw everything around and got so mad and so angry for the whole day, or blamed everybody in the situation, and then probably would have broken my foot and needed surgery.
And that's not a mindset you want to be in, because I mean, let's be real. It's like, I would say be positive, but at the same time, how can you be positive when you just broke a toe and you have all these things to do? But
and that was
you just have to have.
I had no option. I had to still go because I committed.
Right. Correct.
And that was the thing, I think too, like for both of us, we've had moments that made us be grateful, but when you have that moment of gratefulness and content, it's a whole different level. And that's like, I've been there. So when you called me, because you texted me at work, you texted that to me, I screenshotted it because I wanted us to save it for us to have whenever we feel that again, to say we've been there, first of all. Right. Second of all, when you called me at work and you're like, dude, here's why, and I could hear you smile, and I could hear you just be like,
I literally was like smiling. And I was just like, I just like remember, like, it was actually a bad day at work for everybody else. Yeah. But for me, because I was in my grateful moment.
They were so mad too.
You couldn't kill my vibe, you know? So I was just like, it wasn't nothing about work, but it was just like, you know, I had a job opportunity. I knew that I was just moving up, you know, and people were saying, you know, saying pleasant things about me, just like very positive energy that was coming naturally. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't doing nothing out of the ordinary. Like, it was just my person and things that I put in the effort to change.
Exactly. And you put the energy into the universe to have this happen for you.
To allow it to happen. Exactly. Because you have to allow it to happen. You can't force anything. Really? Like, you have to allow it to happen, because that's why people don't understand like emotion sometimes. Like, but you have to let those emotions, like you knew that you had to be angry first. You were angry for a second. You accepted it. Yeah. But you have to move on. If you were going to go, if you were going to go hard in the situation or go above the situation, whatever you had to do, you had to allow yourself to be angry to move up to that next level. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's just people don't understand that. Continue. I cut you off.
No, you're good. Just people don't understand that you just like have to be willing to allow things to feel the way they feel.
Yeah.
And then level up. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, it's a level up moment. Like, everyone's always like trying to level up in these big ways, like financial ways, whatever, which is cool. Don't get me wrong. That's always the goal. But at the same time, you have to be willing to level up mentally, emotionally, let yourself go through that. So the next time you go through something like that, I'm nothing. Good, baby. You know what I mean? Like, it's nothing. This is a piece of cake. I've been here before. Yep. So let me put some ice on here, take a Tylenol, and move on from the pain.
Literally. And but that was the thing. That was the thing, I think, too. So in my recovery process with that, even like the people who were around, like after they came back to me, they were like, I would never have dealt with that the way you did. They weren't being shady at all. They were just like, you handled yourself, and you still, they really were nervous. They were like, I don't think you can go and do these things. I was like, no, we're going. Like, I got to boss up right now, and I have kids who are watching me. I have a choice for them to see how I react, or them to see, okay, she went through this and she still has a smile. We're making the best of the situation.
And what is your what do you go about? Like, all your Snapchats always end in what? Boss L?
Yeah.
Like, that's something that Lindsey's really big on. And like, it's really cool. Like, people don't understand, like, these are attributes that are going to add to your name or who you see yourself as. You know what I mean? So like, that was Lindsey's process of thinking, like, obviously not just Boss L.
No, I've been doing that for years.
She wants to be a boss in general. And this is how she makes boss moves. This is how God or whoever you believe in, your higher power or whatever,
Aw.
or the universe, like, this is how you do that thing. You know what I mean? Is by taking those steps to be like, I could be a complete asshole and be like, fuck, I broke my toe, and like just
Oh,
flipping out.
I had a moment
That's
for
not
sure.
you exactly as you should, but
Right.
you re-silence yourself and be like, okay, I got things to still do. I have to move on. Let's go. You know what I mean? And that
Yeah.
is being a boss. Like
No.
people like simplify what words really mean when the words can be meaning so many different things, you know, in aspects of your life, and be able
Think
to
about it too. Like I had, and I think that's why they said it, not to cut you out. You're right. And I didn't
no,
think
you're
about
good.
it like that. I'm glad that even I didn't think about, because I put about, so what he's talking about on my Snapchat, and even on just like on all of my socials and even on ours. So like I put whoever I'm with or whoever I'm working with, boss L, boss T, because that mindset is very like 10 years ago, I had a temper. I was an angry person. I hated life. And we'll get into that another episode.
And that is boss shit. Like, you know,
No,
people
but
don't
that was the
understand,
thing. Like, I was at that low in life. But then, like, for me, that's, I think, where that gratefulness comes in, because when this situation happened last year, I had that ability to switch, like, flip the switch. And the thought of, like, me being like, okay, whatever. I could have chosen to let that take me out.
Right.
I could have. Like,
I mean, that's where, like, depression and stuff, like, don't get me wrong. I know people are just, like, born depression, or people go through hard times, stuff like that. But that's where depression settles in, is whenever you allow something to take over your mind. That you're, you know, where you could just turn it into something gratefulness. Like, okay, this fucking does suck. This fucking hurts my heart, or whatever the situation is. But I must continue going. I must continue building, or whatever you have to do. Like, you know, you have to always think about the bigger picture. Like, life's not simple. That's all I can say. Life is not simple.
So complex. And for the kids or young adults who are watching this, I want you to live in every moment that you live in now, because it's only going it's not going to get harder negatively. It's going to get harder in the sense of you're growing and evolving, and that's hard in itself, but you are going to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah. So don't escape these emotions. Don't escape
that point now.
Don't escape, like, the moments that you need in your life. You know what I mean? Like fear, you know, the feeling of failing, and just all types of things. Don't escape that. Just go through it and do better. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta go through it in order to get to it. Like, that's always been my favorite quote.
Oh, I love that quote.
Love it. I literally got me through a lot of stuff. I don't.
You need to. We're gonna mark that, so that way we can make that a clip later. But also, Michelle Obama, when they go low, we go high.
I'll be trying.
We go a little low right now, but we're good. Yeah, we're good. Right. That is so true. I want you to say it again for people who may not have caught that once you just said. That's powerful in itself.
You have to go through it in order to get to it. And you can take that in so many different meanings, but my meaning personally is, for instance, I have went through a lot of stuff. I went through death. I went through divorces, all types of stuff, breakups, and all types of stuff. And at the time when I felt that hurt in my heart, like literally in my heart, like I remember having to go through that pain, feel that anxiety, feel that uncomfortableness to get to what I needed to do in my next chapter, which is whether it's leveling up business wise, if it's leveling up mental, you know, like I have worked so hard, like the last couple of years. I've never, like, I'm 20 years old and I've never focused on my mental health as I have these last 2 years. And they have been tremendous to my life.
Yep.
Like, I'm always trying to show people what I'm doing, but like, this is something that, like, I don't feel the need to show nobody what I'm doing, because I know what it's doing for myself. I know where it's putting my confidence, my heart, my so many different emotions, where they're putting them, you know what I mean? And like, I'm utilizing everything that I've ever went through, which is the going through it part, to get to where I need to go, when I'm up here being.
You're unraveling everything to.
Yeah, that is the perfect word. I'm unraveling all this stuff.
Everything. Here's what you're doing, because this is like perfect in what you're saying. You're unraveling everything, putting it now in a new like yarn ball, and putting it away and throwing it away.
Right.
That's what you're doing. And I'm so proud.
That is like a good metaphor when you think about it.
I know. I just thought I was like unraveling twine, unraveling the thing, like, because my friend made a DIY project the other day, and so she's getting twine. So like the two kind of connected. I was like,
that makes sense.
Together.
That's good though. That's good. Right.
Does that make sense?
And even like sober, Lindsey's gonna tell me exactly how she feels. Like, there's been times where I've had to, like, you know, put my hair behind my head, because I'm like, I did not want to hear that, Lindsey, but
he hates also, that's
the dynamic of our relationship. You know, like, if you want friends and stuff like that, like, they need to respect you and you need to respect them. But you also have those boundaries set up to being like, I'm supposed to feel safe with you and I should be able to say this to you without getting offended. And if you do, hear me out. You know what I mean?
No, literally.
I always do. Like Lindsey's actually like one of my first relationships that I've ever had where I let somebody talk to me and like me be like offended in my heart, but not show her that I'm offended. She knows, she already knows. But at the same time, like it's like, I know where it's coming from, but my heart is hurt. And then you know what I mean? Like it's just,
but I needed to hear it though.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and some people don't understand that. Like, you have to have those boundaries and those relationships with people in order to do that. You can't just like go up to somebody and say something out of the wall. I've had people be like, for a Black person, you're so educated or you're so upspoken. That's crazy. I don't know you, ma'am. You know what I mean? Like this thing like that. You have
offended because also you're thinking it's a negative connotation when they really might have good intentions, but you don't know this person.
I don't know you. You know what I mean? Like that's why it's very important. Like people in your life, stuff like that. Make sure you guys have boundaries. Make sure you guys set those up. And
we have, and even then, like we have communication where there's been moments like I was so proud of you because I state my like boundaries in general with a lot of people, even in text or whatever, but you took it upon yourself. You're like, hey, so just reminding you, because he retreats. You get quiet sometimes, you're a little hurt. Mm-hmm. Or you're like,
and I just said that, like, I told her this 2 weeks ago. I was like, I'm just gonna let you know right now, before we start this podcast, I literally told her, I said, don't get offended if I get quiet, because I am probably hurt and I'm probably sitting over there pondering in my feelings, but that allowed me to grow that moment. Now I'm growing, you know what I mean? Like because today, before we called each other.
Not respond. Here's the thing. Let me cut you off for 2 seconds. When he would not respond, I would be like, what the hell? What did I say? What did I do? And I know I was good. I know we're fine. But it was like, it took me a second because we hadn't been around each other in person or just in general in a long time. So I forgot that, like, no, he'll tell me straight up, like, he'll cuss me off if he wants to, but he needs a moment. And that's fine. And that's healthy. And that's good. Because guess what? Our families never did that.
Right.
We never did that. We never.
That's kind of like, that's a little bit of us unraveling.
Here's why.
Right. That's a little bit of us unraveling and understanding, like, why we are the way we are and why we do things and how we do things. And if you can communication is key. Like, I never knew what that meant.
It's going to be hard, but you're going to want to.
Yeah, and it's going to be uncomfortable. Whenever you don't have those keys in your life, whenever it comes up, it's going to be uncomfortable. But be okay. Like I said, sit in those feelings, go through it to get to it, because
respectful. I'm kidding.
Because those are those moments that are going to get you to the next level of your life.
Oh, literally.
And it's always going to be gratefulness when you think about it. It's always going to be something you could be grateful about, you know, like at the end of the day. It's an choice
of an attitude adjustment. Correct. I'm a little offended, but I'm not. Because here's why. Let me tell you why. This is why, again, we told DeAndre, we both had said from day one, we're like, we're going to be the most authentic person as he takes a sip. Oh, yeah. He's prepared. It's in the sense of when we get into our emotion, we get into our feelings, like D said, he goes, you know, there's some people who will say something, I don't know who you are.
Right.
But at the same time, like, for you, you've said some things to me in a good way. Like, obviously, I know what you're meaning. I know who you are. Right. I know what you're saying. And again, like, he tells me his thoughts like a few days ago, because when this airs, it'll be time past the situations. But there's been times where Dio called me, I'm like, I don't know how I'm feeling. And he's like, what's up? You're not acting yourself. But that's where that gratefulness that comes in for me and for you as my family, to be like, damn, thank you. Even the
and it allows you to reflect on your feeling. You know, sometimes we don't know what we're going through and it's uncomfortable. So we're like, I don't really know. But then you'll be like, explain the situation. I'm like, oh, so you're a little frustrated? Oh, you're a little angry? You know what I mean? Like,
you're just a little petty right now? Okay.
Yeah. Oh my God. One thing that she'll tell me all the time is, you're petty. And I'll be like,
I do.
Look, some of it hurt my feelings, but I didn't realize I was that petty until she told me I was that petty. Like, I knew I was that petty, but I didn't know I was that petty, if that makes sense. And
I wasn't saying it to judge you and change who you are. I literally was just like, hey, heads up.
But I'm definitely a tit for tat person. You do me dirty, I'm gonna do you dirty. And then she basically called me out, but like, she's like, I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm letting you know that that's what you always are about. And I'm like, okay, you know, and I'm always, I love self-improvement.
Because again, the past behaviors are that's all you know.
And it's not getting you nowhere.
They've enabled those behaviors too. They've enabled that behavior. So when people don't, and not that you have to change because of a certain person, and I don't want anybody to think like I'm changing D or D's changing me. No, we just have an honest and open communication, not only with ourselves, but also we expect each other to tell each other the truth. And so when I'm saying that, and he knows, like, it sounds like I'm being bossy and a biatch to him, and I'm not. I'm literally just like, hey, you're being petty, but I know that's not you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Lindsey's always one of those people that will tell you something out, but let you know, like, I'm not saying anything, but I'm just letting you know, like, this is the moment.
I'm still gonna let
and like
back down.
it's a mindful thing, because whenever you're like so used to doing it, you don't know that you're doing it. You know what I mean? And
you have this one vision, and that's all you see.
correct.
He speaks truth. He really does. I'm sitting here and I'm like, damn. Okay.
Always like a good feeling, because when you know where it's coming from,
yeah,
you don't feel disrespected. You don't feel, oh, I'm not talking to this person for the next couple of weeks because they just pissed me off, you know, like.
And that's where that can get petty, where like literally, because we have situations like collectively that we're like, I'm not gonna talk to them, and also like, how childish is that? Where the scenario,
you care about somebody, but now you don't want to talk to them because they've told you something that they observed about you. You know what I mean?
You know that you need to look at, but you don't want to look at. And
correct.
Not only that, but on top of that, you're sitting there too, and you're like, shit, I need to look at that. But
that's what allowed me to cut people off, is like not really respond to what someone's saying. Sit back, see what they're saying, seeing how I can apply it, if it's truth or not. And if it's not truth, baby, you're just trying to hurt my feelings at this point now. You know what I mean? And now I have to cut you off. Or, oh, okay, I do see that. Where are we going? What is that? Look, is that your washer? Oh, okay. I was like thinking it was like playing on my phone.
No. So I go, hold on. So
you guys, I sent this video to Lindsey earlier about her washer. Because like the other day, I was on the phone, I was like, what is that? And her washer's like, yeah, boom, 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 boom. And I literally, you know how like the CIA's on your phone and shit. Like,
and that's why I was like, hold on.
I sent her this video that literally was so relatable to her and her situation. It was funny.
I was attacked. I literally we call before we get on these episodes, and we're like, all right, here's what we're going to talk about. I said, tell me why your TikTok, he said, me was attacking. He was like, I knew it would be. I was like, of course.
And look, that's what I sent it for. To let you know that, hey, but that's how washers all sound, though, to be honest.
You know what? No, it doesn't. Like, you got to want to look at yourself and say, we did this.
Right.
Thing. Or we're going through this thing so we can come out the other side. And I think that's where you're at. That's because of what you're feeling. You're feeling so grateful. In the same time, you're also like, I wouldn't trade my life because I've grown so much, but also like,
oh my God, 100%. So right now, like, I'm going to speak like why I spoke on, like why I chose that topic is because I'm going through a big change through my life right now. And I know I'm going through a big change.
To expand on it too much, but yes.
Yeah, no, literally. So like a lot of people would be like, change, oh my gosh, uncomfortable, blah, blah, blah. And like some of the change is like, I don't really want to go through the change, but I know the change has to come in order for me to either level up or technically being forced to go through this change. Let me put it that way, because I'm exiting out of people's lives, you know what I mean? Which causes this change. I'm grateful that I had a lot of lessons with you, so forth. And now I'm able to use those in my next chapter of my life. Gratefulness, simple. Keep it simple.
Again, that's your choice and how you look at the view, because guess what? Correct. When people look at you, they're going to be like, D did this, whatever, and be so angry about it, when you also are like, you know that 5 years down the road, they might come back to you and say, hey, that was actually really dope how you handled it. I wish I had enough of that emotional intelligence to just peace out and do what I need to do. And
I'm gonna give you an example, not to cut you off. I'm gonna give you an example. So I lost like 2 people. Like, I'm trying to keep my life very vague in these messages, just because this is supposed to be like an open message. You know, I don't want people reading into my life, stuff like that. But I went through 2 hard losses within 2 weeks and 1 month. And with that being said, a lot of people, after like going through it for a year and a half, you know, people will come back to me. When they were going through things, I wish I had your strength. People don't fail to realize you have to go through it in order to get to it. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have that strength. That strength wasn't just inside of me or whatever. It's something that I had to build up to, you know, rather it was day by day, moment by moment.
So many people bombarding you, understandably. And when you're ready, we'll talk about the whole scenario, because there's more things that have come out of it in a great way that we didn't expect to happen in an awesome way. I'll even put up like one of the photos when we were at the pool. Remember that photo I sent you and there were like orbs around you?
Mm-hmm. Oh
I was
yeah.
like, you are not by
Look,
yourself.
those are my spirits, y'all.
Literally, we're very much into that. We'll talk about that on another topic, or another episode. But the thing is, like, the thing I think that made us close too is like I let this man be, because grief is crazy, and we'll talk about that too. But like, I was so grateful because I knew I had access, but I knew you were gonna make it through it. I knew you were gonna be okay, and you
Right.
are okay. You are super grateful, and also like you could still play victim if you wanted to. Let's be clear, right?
Right.
Having that amount of grief and having that amount, because it affected a lot of us in life of who knew the situation, who know the situation, and still there are days it's still hard. Let's be clear.
Right.
This beautiful thing that came out of it, where you literally, there are days even where I can feel it in you and I can see it in you, where you're like, as much as I hate saying it, I'm grateful these things happened because it allowed me to be who I am today.
Oh my God, relatable. Like I listened to this, like I felt so bad like being relatable to it, but Kim Kardashian had like whenever she got robbed by Paris, like I'm a Kardashian fan because they're bosses. No matter what no one says about them, bosses. Like Kim, Chris, Chloe, they did
All
that.
of
And
them.
you have to give them their respect regardless of what you think about them. But
Really.
any given reason, like whenever Kim was like sobbing about like, she just said, I felt like that was meant to happen to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because she lived this flashy life her whole life.
And the
No one knows, but
materialistic
like
side of
years
it,
afterwards, like she didn't wear like jewelry. She wore simple plain gowns after that
fake
happened and stuff
rings,
like
all
that.
of it.
And sometimes you have to go through things to make you realize, like, yeah, sometimes it sucks, but sometimes that's just God's way of being like, hey, chill out, or hey, there's something bigger that you could be doing here than worried about what you're wearing around your neck or on your fingers or whatever, And it was just that spoke to me, and I wanted to make a TikTok about it so bad, but I was like,
we will.
Yeah, and I'm a people pleaser where I don't want people to think differently of me. You know what I mean? So I don't post a lot of stuff about that.
Too, and just in life, D too. When I first met you too, I could tell that you were not insecure. You cared about.
Very insecure.
You were, but like not in that way. What I'm saying is like you cared what people thought because of who you were around, right?
Correct.
And whereas like you also were in a space where you could not be yourself. You didn't feel like you could be yourself. Okay.
Right.
Now you're in this space where you don't give a damn what people think. And even for me, like the fact, even like you said, that I have a title with him, and just in general, like I know that I can call him at 2 a.m. He can call me at 2 a.m. and we'll answer. That says a lot about how we are. And also, like, I don't care what somebody says about you, because guess what? I know you. I do care, but I know you. They don't. Just and vice versa. And so I'm so grateful for the fact of how much not only that I've been able to be in your life, but grateful to say I've seen you at your worst, but I've also seen you at your best. And guess what? This is not just your best. This is the beginning of your best.
Correct.
And that is why we're unraveling all of this stuff and we're talking about it. And we're being vague because also this is the beginning of this the podcast in general. So we don't want to give you everything for you guys then to be like, okay, we're not listening to them anymore. No, we're giving these bits and pieces so we can give you guys some piece of relief.
These are like things that like we're trying to be vague about it because in the sense we want to have a topic, and then that topic is unraveled by the things that we've been through that have allowed us to get to this topic. So people can start seeing like, people can watch our videos and reflect back on it and be like, okay, you know what I mean? Because like for me, for instance, like I said, I'm 20 years old and it took me all the way up until
and you can't blame yourself for that either.
26, 25 to start unraveling this stuff. And I mean, I went through some hardcore stuff and I'm just like, why did it take me so long? Not saying that I've always been on the same level that I am. I've always been on the frequency that I have been, but I was able to accept things, understand things at a higher frequency whenever.
Well, and own it too at a different level.
Oh yeah, you have to own it. Like, one thing I'll say, you guys.
Don't form until we're past 25. Let's be clear too. So there's no blame to yourself, because I did the same thing. Like I literally was like, I hated my life for.
Tell me your own moment. Like let's like not compare, but tell me your own moment that has changed your life.
We know how we are. We're competitive, ass. You know this. Don't even try and hide that.
Anyways,
so let me just go in my shell. No, I think for me it was like I went through. We both we both went through that grief moment. Well, we don't want to talk about it. We will later. But we both went through that. You went through it more obviously, but also like it rocked our world. It messed everything up. And then I want to say 6 months after that, like I went through my own circumstance where something happened and I almost didn't stay, if that makes sense. Keep being vague.
Right.
But it was how it happened was through a situation of I didn't expect of how it occurred, that it would be that way. I became more grateful because I had to be honest with that moment, and I had to be willing to be like, that happened. This happened. I need to now shut this door with these people and with this circumstance, but admit this happened. And also really look at who I was surrounding myself with. Because most people didn't know what was happening. They knew what was happening, but didn't know what was happening. And then when I told certain people about it after, because when you go through the hard moments, you're going to see the people who stay.
Right. Oh boy, that is like the biggest thing of like, for me, I will tell you, like, not to cut you off, but like I will tell you, after I lost my people, I went through this time where like people literally drove me more crazy than the situation itself, because I couldn't tell if they were there.
There was no break.
I couldn't tell if they were there truly for my heart and my soul, or if they were there just to be there, you know, like for their well-being, of being a better person or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it made me so confused, but it also, with me grieving, it made me stoop to I don't know if it was a higher frequency or a lower frequency, but like
low for a hot minute, and then it got really high.
Exactly. That's exactly how I feel. Like, I feel like it was low. It allowed me to be very mindful of the people around me, you know what I mean, and see what was going on, because I didn't have to say much throughout this time. People just assumed what I felt, or assumed this and stuff like that, and that's cool if you do that.
You just say anything either.
So I'm just looking and I'm keeping things that people are saying, and I'm just like, that's a little sketchy, you know what I mean? And but
I remember you would text me and be like, so this person said this. Do I need to overlook this? So I'd be like, no.
You literally, and that's where the gratefulness came from, because at the end of the day, like, God, like, I'd never want that to happen or whatever, but at the same time, like, that did happen, and it was able for me to go into the next chapter, to cut people out of my life that I knew that were not there for me. People that I have here by my side now were the people that were coming to my house at 2:00 in the morning when I have an anxiety, or coming, you know, answering my phone calls whenever I didn't know what to do, or when I just wanted to cry my heart out. You know what I mean? Like, God, like, that was one of, like, for, like, you know, back to the comparison thing, like, that was kind of like one of my eye-opening situations. Like, actually, my biggest one was
ours. A lot of people.
This is like something big. Like, I'm not trying to be like big on the podcast, but like for me, it was coming out as gay. You know, like, I was married to a woman, and I was in a relationship with a woman for almost 10 years. That I decided to live my true self. I was then in denial about it. Like, I didn't want to believe it. Like, you know, I tried to be this strong person. I didn't think that gay people could be strong, but I owned my moment.
Not only that, a black man.
A black man that is supposed to take care of his family, you know, like, I didn't think that I could be strong, but I owned that moment by allowing myself to be honest with my wife at the time, but still live my truth. 100%. And I have a kid. I'm showing strength. That shows strength. You know what I mean? Like, just because of some, what's the word that they put that on? Like, a word does not define what you are, or who you are.
The title doesn't define what you guess. I see what you're saying. And that was the thing too. I remember, like, and obviously we're tangent, but it's fine. It's part of the podcast. That's what this is for. Like, we're here to talk it out. Mm-hmm. I remember when you told me to nonchalant, I was like, who is that DeAndre? What just happened? Like, but it was that personality you deserve to have. Like, you didn't think you deserved it, but you did. Even now, like, there's sometimes I have to remind you to be like, you deserve this. Stop. Right. And I know you're like, okay. And I'm like, no, you do.
Literally, because like, I'm just like, I'm such a nonchalant person. Like, I've been nonchalant because I've lived for other people for so long. But now it's time for me to live
in the way in which you said it, though, you were just like, oh yeah, I'm this guy. I hadn't seen you. I saw you at one point. I saw you and you told me, because I knew stuff was happening, didn't know, because I'm more the person, I want to hear from your mouth than I do everybody else's. And you told me, you broke it down, and you were just like, this happened. I'm gay, by the way. And I was like, oh, okay. But it was like,
I slipped it in there like nonchalant, because like people make it such a big deal and stuff like that. I'm just like, this is just who I am. And like, I don't think people have that mindfulness that like, okay, this man, like, obviously you're not caring, not you in general, but like people are not caring about what I go through. But also you have to feel to realize people go through certain emotions, like as anybody else, they go through certain emotions, and you saying hurtful things can really set people back. People be like, oh, you're gay. Like, and I'm like, I guess, like, you know what I mean? Like, it was awkward because like, I'm just like, why are you saying it? Yeah. Like, why are you saying it like that? You know, but I own that. Like now I enjoy
And then we took a shot, and I think you expected me to.
Oh, we did take shots.
Yes, we did.
I really didn't, because like the people that I told like straightforward,
yeah,
I told them for a reason. But I just wanted you guys to hear, like you said, I'd rather hear from your mouth. I'd rather people that I care about hear from my mouth than it to be the talk of the town. You know what I mean? Oh, did you hear DeAndre? Like that's not something cool that I don't want to hear myself being talked about in that way. Because even though it is something positive,
I was like, I stepped to. We were like, hey, how are you? Gave each other a hug because I hadn't seen you in a minute. And then you were like, yeah, so this is happening. And I was like, bet, all right, game on. And kept it moving. But I admired that.
I'm pretty sure you took a shot. I'm pretty sure that's what you were like, let's take a shot. And I was like, okay.
You're like, okay,
and that's like, those are things that people need sometimes. People just need some encouragement. Not saying the shot was encouragement, but it was just like,
no, but
it was a celebration moment to realize, okay, you're living your true you, baby. Let's go. Like
that's what what the intention was too.
Yes, like and like, oh my God, like me being in mental health and working on a psych unit, you hear so many things, and obviously I can't talk about it because of confidentiality. But at the same time, like I hear their stories, and I really hear them. I'm just like, wow, like at a moment I step back and I'm judging them because I'm like, you let that person do that to you, but then I'm like thinking like, okay, shut up, DeAndre, sit back and realize that you have been in the same situation in different circumstances. You know what I mean? Like
right there, exactly. That is so perfectly said. Not only that, do you like? You have so much more understanding and compassion too. And
that's what I love.
That's what brought more grave. I think that's where too, when you sent me that text last week, a couple weeks ago now, when you were like, I'm so grateful. And I was like, I think that's where that hit, where you were just like, I understand it could have been worse for me too, but also it was worse for me in the moment, but I'm so grateful because I'm seeing that light at the end of the tunnel. And you're continuing to see it. You still feel it. You're continuing to see it. But damn, like being grateful. And here's the thing, y'all. When he was like, I said, what topic do you want to talk about for this episode? And he was like, gratefulness. And I was like, okay. But didn't expect you to get this to this level. And this is why
I love it. Like, this is like my biggest thing right here. And this is like the top was like, not the top line gratefulness, but like, whenever these two people passed away, a lot of people written me off that I was going to be depressed. I was going to be sad. I was going to be on drugs. Yeah. I was going to be an alcoholic. And I know I'm drinking right now, y'all, but I'm not an alcoholic. I go to work. I work, take care of my kids.
Stop. Don't even
I pay my bills.
Don't defend yourself.
You're right. But with that being said, it was just crazy to me because it was like, y'all are just like taking everything that I know that I worked for from me. But those are people that I knew to cut off because I was like, you don't know me as a person then. You know what I mean? Like I might go through some hard times. I might be sad. I might be depressed or whatever the case is. But as a whole, if you knew who I was on the inside out, like you say that, oh, I know you were going to go through it, but I know that you also were going to make it through it, you know? And that is me as a character. And that's just who I am. Like when people said that stuff, like that made me be grateful to be like, you know what? I'm going to see this as a good opportunity to cut people off and realize that they don't deserve a spot in my life.
Yep.
To move on to the next chapter of my life. And ever since I've done that, y'all, I have been shooting up like every type of aspect of my life between.
If y'all only knew what I
vocal about it, lining up with the right people financially, you know, realizing what I'm going to take and what I'm not going to take, you know, and saying, hey, this is enough.
Unraveling all the mess.
Love it.
I'm so okay. I'm like, I know we have to wrap up in general, but like, dude, you inspire me all the time. Outside of what we do already and how we talk, like, you guys, if you don't already follow up with this man, you will. First of all. Second of all, like, this is how we talk off podcast, like off air. We talk this deeply every day. Different context, but like, this is why at some point we both can relate, but we both are willing to be vulnerable and talk about it. But even then, I knew you were going to hit some deep stuff. But gratefulness is something, like I said, that carries weight if you think about it. And we sometimes are like, oh, I'm grateful, and we let it be, but no, words carry weight in a beautiful way too. You have been listening to the Unraveled podcast, the Unraveled Ties podcast with Lindsey and DeAndre. And again, like I've said a couple times, I hope that you guys like this podcast. Comment down below on any platform or give us a review on what you think, what you like, what you don't like, what you want to hear from us. That way we can get better. I noticed from the first episode that the audio on my end could be better, but we will fix that soon. It's called Starting from the Bottom, Working Our Way Up. That's the only way we are.
Like Drake said in his song.
That's what I was like, started from the bottom. Now we're here. Ode to Drake. We are looking forward to seeing you guys each and every time. And like I said, follow us on Instagram and everything will be in the description box. You can comment, say what you want to say. Again, we don't tolerate any messiness or any bullying or any negativity. We are not here for it. So you can leave that at the door. And D, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. Like I'm glad that you asked me what topic you wanted me to talk on. Today's the day for gratefulness. You know what I mean? Because regardless of what I'm going through, I'm very grateful what I'm going through because it's allowing me to level up. I know my goals. I know where I'm trying to be in the next 5 to 10 years. And what this moment means
staying present at the same time.
From now, exactly. But also, I'd like to say too to our audience that if you guys want to be a coach, like you want to come on our show and talk about something, let us know. Reach out to us because this podcast is not.
Want us to bring on,
Yes, like this is a podcast that we want to open up doors for people's thinking, their visions and all that, because I don't think people realize people don't talk about mental health in general. And I'm so mental health and Lindsey's so mental health as well.
Yeah.
That like there's so many different aspects, you know, that something that you could bring on to this podcast that would change someone's life forever in the most impactful
you may be that
ever.
person that they need to hear from. I think sometimes G and I forget that like we might be that insert. Like he tells me a lot, I inspire him, and I forget that like I matter to him, and that might not negatively. That's just a fact, but like it's nice to hear that. But sometimes you need to hear from a different perspective.
Oh my God, when Lindsey tells me that she's like admires me, I'll be like, first of all, thank you. But at the same time, I'm like, it opens up my eyes because I don't see what I'm doing sometimes. Like I know. No, I don't even know. I don't know what I'm doing sometimes, and I'm just doing it because that's what I know I want. But at the same time, I don't know that I'm doing it, and it's nice to hear, like you said, from somebody else's perspective to be like, you are a boss. Just like I told you, Lindsey's a boss. Like Lindsey will tell you more of her story throughout these podcasts, and seeing how she overcame a lot of her obstacles, you guys will be like, wow, you know. And like you don't ever compare yourself to anybody else. But if Lindsey could do it, you could do it too. You know what I mean?
Same
like
for you though. That's the thing. Like we both, and I think that's one thing, like we are competitive with each other in a loving way, but we're competitive because we understand that we both.
Oh, and let's say competitive. Let's say this: if Lindsey sees me at the gym, Lindsey's gonna go to the gym later on, just because she knows I'm gonna ask her about it or talk about my gym session, and she's like, "Oh, I went too. So what's up?" Like, but it's like in a good way because I know it's a healthy way because I know that what she wants for her body and vice versa. You know, so it's healthy. You need that motivation. You need that drive, and
that's the point of it.
Yeah, exactly. You need to see from someone else's perspective other than just your own.
That's what I love about this. I'm so excited.
How do you feel, Lindsey?
I'm just happy. I'm so happy because I knew you were going to drop a couple of good bombs. I didn't expect it in the most beautiful way, but also that's why too, like, so we cap our episodes at like 25-30 minutes, and I was like, nope, stop, nope, we need to add more to this because
she did say that.
I did. No, I feel at peace. I feel happiness, and I feel grateful genuinely for you because like I don't think there'd be anybody else that could ride this wave of like us transitioning into a different period in like the next chapter with anybody else.
Right.
I don't think I could do it. And I think that's the cool thing. And we just understand each other with no questions. And that's what makes it even more exciting. All right. Well, I love you so much. And you guys, again, we'll see you guys sooner than later. But we have banked episode 2, bitch. We did it. So we're going to continue. We'll see you guys on episode 3. Who knows what we're going to talk about, but we're going to unravel some more ish. So stay tuned for that. And we'll see y'all later. Finish a wine and we'll have a good conversation after.
Definitely. Love you guys. Bye.
Love you.